1, 2, 3,
4,
5.
6.
Welcome to my home. Traditions are passed from generation to generation, and a good pan of cornbread is no different. In my family, that was one of the traditions that my mother passed down to me, and I passed on to my children, was the perfect pan of cornbread. It starts with certain ingredients and certain bakeware that I'll show you today how to make the perfect pan of cornbread. Nothing says leaven like something in the oven. And there again, a pan of cornbread's no different. In the oven, coming home from a hard day of work, throwing in a pan of cornbread and smelling it all through the house. It takes about 20 minutes to bake it. Most all your ingredients are easily found in anyone's kitchen, cabinets, and pantries and refrigerators. So it makes for a quick, easy side dish. It complements any meal. You can use it below stews, to soak up a good chili, or as a side dish, and in some cases a dessert. Butter, jams, and jellies can be placed on your cornbread and enjoyed. So today I'm going to start with my dry ingredients. And for my dry ingredients, I have cornmeal, and it has to be yellow. I add flour, baking soda, baking powder, not baking soda. A little bit of salt. All that gets mixed up, and at that point, you beat 3 eggs into a separate bowl. I'm going to add the 3 eggs and incorporate them into the mixture next. After I get this all beat up to where it's all nice and mixed, I'm going to add in my milk. You can use 2% milk, whole milk, or skim milk. I'm not used to measuring. I don't have to measure. I've been doing cooking this so long. But you'll be able to, after a while of making the perfect pan of cornbread, to know exactly what the texture should be like. It should be a little thicker than a cake. And you'll be able to tell if you need to add a little more milk. You can. At this point, once you get the milk all incorporated into the cornmeal mixture, you're going to add your melted butter. I have a half a stick of melted butter. That's what's going to keep your cornbread moist while it's cooking. You can do this by hand mixer. You can do this with a wire whisk. You can do it with your KitchenAid mixer. I put mine on and throw it on that way, but it's just as easy to do it this way also. Make sure you go down to the bottom of the bowl to get all the dry ingredients off the bottom of the bowl. Otherwise, you're going to have a big glob of flour. Once you get it all mixed up, at this point, your oven should have been preheated to 425 degrees. You take a cast iron skillet. Mine came from generations and generations in our family was passed down. But you can pick them up in any antique store pretty much in the area, and there are places online that you can order them. 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil in a cast iron skillet this size. If you have a smaller skillet, just accordingly, about a tablespoon. But cast iron skillets make the best cornbread, fried chicken, or almost anything else. You put the skillet in the oven for probably about 5-10 minutes just to heat the oil up. Once the skillet is heated and your mixture is ready to pour in, you can do a test by dropping just a few drops of your cornmeal or your cornbread mixture into the skillet. If it goes to sizzle a little bit or pop, you'll know that your cornbread is ready to go in and your skillet's hot enough. You ladle everything into your skillet, place it in your oven, and 20 minutes is to the T every time at 425 degrees in a cast iron skillet. 20 minutes to cook it, bake it. Once it's finished, be very careful. The cast iron skillets hold their heat for a long time. When you pull it out of the oven, set it on top of your stove and let it cool for about 5 minutes. If you need to, take a table knife and just kind of, or fork, and run up underneath it, just to make sure that it's not stuck into the skillet. And then at that point in time, make sure that you have your mitts or your rag, because the skillet still will be extremely hot. And it should pop out every time out of your skillet because the oil has cooked, as you can see, around the edge of the cornbread to make a crust which allows the inside of the cornbread to evenly cook and not overcook or not be raw on the inside when you cut into it. Allow your cornbread to cool for about 5 to 10 minutes, just like this, before you cut into it. Because if you cut into it too soon, it'll be kind of doughy and stick together. It won't cut very good. Now I'm going to open this up to some questions from the audience. Does anyone have a question?
I have a question. Some ovens cook hotter than other ovens, so before you remove the cornbread, how can you be sure that it's done?
That's a good question. And I've had several batches when I first started making it that weren't done. I'd get it out, think they're done, cut into it, and they'd be not done. The main thing is to follow the ingredients on my recipe that I have provided, and to make sure that your grease, that's another reason, if your grease is hot enough, when you put it into the skillet, it cooks around the outside. That gives it 20 minutes time to actually get the inside of the cornbread done.
Okay.
Next question.
How do you store the cornbread, or how long can you store it?
Cornbread can be kept up to 3 days in a tight, air-sealed bag. You can place it in the refrigerator and actually keep it longer. But on a pantry or a shelf, like you keep bread, probably about 3 days. Otherwise, it will, because the moisture and the eggs and the milk in there that you baked, it will cause the cornbread to start turning moldy.
Can you make it sweeter?
You can make it sweeter. Some people like their sweeter. I added 4 tablespoons since I use mine for chilies and stews. I don't like it real sweet, but if you're going to actually serve it with jellies and jams, you can add extra sugar into your cornbread or no sugar at all. Well, glad that you all joined me today. I hope that you can take my tradition and pass it on, learn to make perfect pan cornbread, and pass it on to your family. Because there again, traditions are made through families and in their homes, from my home to yours. Thank you.